We've learned a little bit more about the victims this afternoon. There were a total of 6 people who were shot outside the church. It was a pandemonium, a scene of pandemonium right after that happened. Many of those people who were shot were leaving a funeral inside the church. 6 of them injured, 4 of them were taken by paramedics to hospitals. 2 of them drove themselves. None of their injuries considered life-threatening at this point.
This your big brother, yeah, you know the going on. That's your big brother, you know. I wish I could say one of y'all was my boys. You got all goofies over there.
I ain't tell you what to do it tonight on
What's y'all off the courage?
Speaking of King Von, his birthday just passed.
Yesterday.
Yeah. And one of the things that started to circulate was Wooski posted some 10-year-old tweets. Where Von was like, "You're gonna fall as well." Wooski's like, "Not before you." And Von was like, "We'll see." He had to repost that.
I mean, but Wooski, you saying that, you practically half dead though. He did all that dissing and disrespecting people and shit. Now you still doing the same thing. Like, you half dead. You took a headshot, you ain't dropped a song since you ain't been right.
Oh, you got shot in the head?
Yeah, Wooski got shot in the head.
Okay, must have missed that.
At a funeral.
At a funeral.
There still is one man that was a main op with Von while he was still living. His name is known in the trenches and his connections run deep in the streets. He's known as King Op, FBG Wooski. And this title came with how dangerous he was to his ops like Von. Today, we're going to dive into his life and why he's considered such a savage that strikes fear in his enemies. So how does a kid coming into the world, innocent, pure, become someone that can pull the trigger without hesitation, taking a life, running the streets, and tormenting people to the point that they would hit up a funeral to get him? Well, I asked myself the same thing, and the truth is both sad, yet kind of gains respect to see the world some more are forced to grow up in. While many believe Wooski's home has always been 63rd and St. Lawrence, he was actually from the very place that he haunted with his savagery. Him and his big brother, Big Mike, lived in Parkway Gardens, the section of Wick City that later became Oblock.
We don't want to talk on Cheetos. How you know, black gang, we is out here. Talking about we don't want to talk. BDK.
What's more for a shirt, man? 20.
Crazy thing to note here that plays a huge part in what molded Wooski was that his older brother was BD and Wooski is GD. Might seem strange from the outside, but in these streets, that's nothing new. Because Big Mike had love for his little brother, he stood as the force that would keep him safe in the streets, even after he linked up with the op. At this point, you're probably thinking, why would he switch sides? Same thing that I was thinking. But Wooski, from a young age, was in the streets and had savage in his blood. He even started rocking with FBG, getting close to Duck and Tuka. Wooski would begin adopting beef with his new associates, often targeting TYMB. He would avoid beefing with Wick City because of his older brother. Really seems like even on opposite sides, their blood ties meant more than the gang code. This, however, was soon to change. Wooski would still dip in Wick City with STL, but never murk anybody. Brawls might break out, but guns never came out. That was until him and some STL members had an altercation one time, and Reezy from Wick City would lose his life.
TW, shorty, out here.
That beats, Steve.
Yeah, out here, shorty.
LA, STL, shoot a Wooski, shoot a movie.
That beats, Lil Steve.
Oh, my kid, man. My youngest boy. Hit me. BDK, who was your next hot? Oh, yeah, it's all the way back here. Lil Steve.
Now that in itself was already bad, but what made it worse were rumors that Wooski, 12 years old at the time, was the trigger man. And at that point, Any protection his big brother would provide was lost. He officially became a top priority for retaliation from a bunch of ops and had to move out of Oblock. This would make him even tighter with STL as they took him in.
Hell no, we didn't do shit to nobody, but I'ma holler at y'all. Here go my rat right here. You bitch ass nigga. We don't want to talk.
Wooski would end up aiming his firearm towards the place he once lived in the feud between the two sets. Wooski never made light of the situation. In a tweet made by Wooski back then, it could be seen how serious things got. This back and forth would lead to him and King Von becoming enemies. The fire under this was fueled when Wooski was the trigger man behind the murking of King Von's homie, Platoon.
We love Wooski, ho. You finna get blocked. Hey, matter of fact, everybody get on this whole this bitch say she love Wooski. We don't even know no motherfucker Wooski. It's slow. Hey, Wooski ain't tell y'all I beat his one day. He ain't tell y'all that he too dumb to remember. I punched his ass up.
Unable to personally catch Wooski, Von would get the next best thing at the time. Wooski's cousin, Modell. The events painted a dark scene, showing just how hungry Von was for revenge. He would not only murk Modell, but leave his cousin with bullet holes. So much so that doctors said intestines fell through their hands when they picked him up. Luckily, Miles somehow survived, confined to a wheelchair, but Von accomplished what he came to do, end Modell. This would set things in motion that intensified their beef even more, not only towards Von, but Wooski was out for all his ops. Wooski and STL/EBT were sliding on the O, and the O was sliding back. It was an endless game of cat and mouse. Through it, Von and Wooski seemed to develop respect for each other, even as rivals. They would go back and forth on Twitter like it was nothing. It's crazy how calm and jokingly they act with such bad intent in their mind for each other. This is when you see the true nature of how savage Wooski was. He would tally scores in the public with Von about the stats for who has the most bodies, like it was nothing. What happened next would turn things upside down. Remember Wooski's big brother Big Mike? He would murk a dude by the name of Malcolm Stuckey with King Von in 2014. This would be the hit that got both him and Von booked with a first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder. This hit home for Wooski. Seeing even his bro now turning against him, Wooski's heart was getting colder to human life. Wooski's ops would have a field day on his gang when he was missing in action from 2015 to 2017, having been in the pen for a gun charge.
To talk to a lawyer before we ask you questions, and to have him with you during the questioning. If you cannot afford or otherwise obtain a lawyer and you want one, a lawyer will be appointed for you, and you will not ask any questions until he/she has been appointed. That makes sense? If you decide to answer now with or without a lawyer, you still have the right to stop questioning at any time, or to stop the questioning for the purpose of consulting a lawyer. You may waive the right to advice of counsel and your right to remain silent, and you may answer questions or make a statement without consulting a lawyer if you desire. Do you understand each of these questions? Do you wish to answer questions at this time?
Now, this right here, I want to clear this part up because it was rumored that, you know, it was Wooski who quote unquote called HK Headshot King, you know, T-Roy's brother from the O. It was rumored that Wooski called HK, you know, when Von was locked up fighting that case, but that's not true. HK was actually killed during a home invasion. He was killed during a robbery by a non-affiliate. He was killed by an innocent person defending their home while he was trying to break in. Wooski was out for blood, and every pull of the trigger emptied a bit of his rage and pain. Wooski was now bumped further up the priority list for his ops, as he was becoming too much of a threat that was fearless in the streets. Wooski would send threats online saying that Von was next to go. This attracted the attention of Von's homies, who were ready to move on Wooski for his disrespect and place the bag on his head. But Wooski, being the Chirac savage he is, didn't give a damn and continued to hunt his ops, even coming to their own hood. He was a different breed. Wooski was building confidence in the street and his authority. He was even going as far as claiming that he invented op blocks like TYMB, Oblock, and D-Block. But this still wasn't enough torment to satisfy his hatred for his ops. In January 2018, he would drop the video for the diss track Computers Remix. The track shot up to popularity, highlighting his disrespect for his ops. Wooski was all over the beat, disrespecting dead homies and violating his ops and rapping about hits he has done. This only incited more rage, and his ops wasn't going to stand for it. They would slide on MOB, Dooski, or Mob Dooski the man, leaving him in a pool of his own blood with a shot to the head.
At one point, you know, Dooski gets killed, and you and Dooski were really close. You know, how did that affect you, man? How'd you hear about that when that happened?
Oh shit, Mo called me.
Okay. You know, do you have a favorite memory with Dooski you can share? No? Okay.
Man, Dooski asses. If Dooski and Wooski be together, that shit was crazy. They can't talk about that shit.
Dooski was well respected and connected in the streets, and Wooski's ops knew how much he meant to them. The plot that nearly claimed Wooski's life was set in motion. Dooski's funeral created the perfect opportunity for Get Back in full effect. But Get Back was on the minds of both sides, because Wooski's crew was heated over Dooski's hit.
They said they don't need merch on Dooski like that. They mad at him.
Nah, I could do this. I can stand on live because I have guns around me. I'm safe. I'm protected. They said, Dooski, we told you get off live.
The clock was ticking, but Von and them wasn't playing around. They had everything mapped out and was so confident in their retaliation that Von and E-Dog FaceTimed Wooski the day before the funeral and promised that they had a surprise for him.
This your big brother, yeah, you know the going on. That's your big brother, you know. I wish I could say one of y'all was my boys. We got all goofies over there.
I ain't tell you what to do it tonight on
What y'all off the courage? What made y'all do it tonight?
Somebody else want to
Listen, we gon' surprise. It's time about tonight. We gon' surprise, bro.
This is not for the free.
But you talking about tonight.
The day arrived, and Wooski's ops made good on their promise. All hell broke loose. October 2018, bullets were rained down on the funeral, and Wooski was shot in his head. Ruger, who was also present, would describe the chaotic scene.
Chicago police are trying to figure out who shot 6 people outside a funeral this afternoon. It happened on the city's south side as services were wrapping up for a rapper and people were going to their cars. That rapper had been shot and killed earlier this month. Now, those who live in the area say the violence in their neighborhood must stop.
If you had enough time to plan to shoot somebody at a funeral, then use that knowledge to go to school. And that's what we're asking.
Those neighbors reported hearing dozens of gunshots.
We've learned a little bit more about the victims this afternoon. There were a total of 6 people who were shot outside the church. It was a pandemonium, a scene of pandemonium right after that happened. Many of those people who were shot were leaving a funeral inside the church. 6 of them injured, 4 of them were taken by paramedics to hospitals. 2 of them drove themselves. None of their injuries considered life-threatening at this point. Fortunately, no one inside the daycare was injured.
And we just try to comfort them. I mean, I don't know what else to tell them. We don't know what else to tell them. We just hug them and just tell them it's going to be all right.
Sherry Savage says there is so much gunfire in her neighborhood, the kids at her daycare, 2 to 6 years old, already know to duck when they hear shots. And police say they heard a barrage of shots just after noon. They were coming from across the street at a funeral for a local musician known as Dooski the Man was letting out. His real name is Van Treese Christ. He was killed by gunfire earlier this month. Witnesses today heard a couple of shots at first, apparently fired into the crowd. Then many more, several dozen more shots. Investigators have placed markers indicating where shell casings are located, but so far they have no one in custody.
After the incident happened, I do understand that when the police arrived, it was a very chaotic scene, crime scene extending 2 blocks with shell casings, multiple people shot.
Police say they have not yet determined a motive for this shooting or even whether anyone in specific was targeted. They have just reopened Cottage Grove to traffic as they're wrapping up their investigation here.
By some miracle, Wooski would survive, but Vaughn was still rejoicing, finally catching him lacking.
What you mean? I'm cheap. What you mean? What makes you think I'm cheap? I got 6. How many you got? You sure?
A bullet that hit the ground and ricocheted and hit him. He didn't get shot in the head like a person walked. No. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying he wasn't the target of what they were doing?
Who? I don't know who was no damn target. All I know ain't nobody walk up to him and shoot him in the head.
Right.
Everybody was running. You don't know who was shooting at him. And that's sad that you gotta bring guns to God's house. Like that's we in the end of days, babe.
But
the talk was that Wooski had been taken out, but Duck, Wooski's close homie, would dispel all rumors of Wooski's death. Wooski was a fighter for real, enduring rehabilitation to regain his motor skills. His health looked deteriorated, but getting back to his old self. Before long, he was on his feet, turning up with the gang. Sadly, Vaughn would lose his life on November 6, 2020 in an altercation with Quando Rondo. Wooski wasted no time dissing his op as a send-off to his grave.
Is that who that is in my blunt? A whole lot of Parkway guard niggas. I'll stay smoking the shit that they dumb ass.
Bye. Fuck bye.
BDK. Baldy, King David in that. They say you not. He say you not playing crazy. Y'all know what we smoking on.
Wooski has been laying low since, trying to make a full recovery. After all, he took a shot to the head. It's crazy he's still even functioning back to normal. This near-death experience hasn't stopped him from still being on his dirt. He recently got right back to things, dropping tracks against his ops.
Gang members only what y'all want. We out here. Niggas put up in the house. Niggas putting the police on us, all type of shit, man. Hear me? Whoa.
Yeah, the police called my OG.
What?
Yeah, you know, man. Drop some more. Drop some more. He's cracking out. He's real life cracking out here, man.
DK, Queen Day.
Tell Charles the white man, he found the right motherfucker, man.
Better get your cockeyed crack kid looking ass something. Fucking day, dog. Blowing some ass down.
One thing for certain, he's earned his street cred. It might lead to his end, but his title as King Op isn't trolling nor cap. Can only wish the best for him in the streets, and that he chooses to pursue music fully and leave the gang banging behind. Nothing but losses in that life, man. Until the next one, y'all be safe. You already know what it is, drill a gang. Hit that like, that subscribe, share, get in the comment section, let's talk about it. And you already know what I'm about to say. Don't even go nowhere, watch that next video. Gang!